Whoa, what a hectic cricket match. What a finish. It was close in the end, but the Sunrisers hang on by an orange peel. Yes, 190 for 7 is what Mumbai got, chasing 194. Hyderabad winning by 3 runs, staying alive for the possibility of getting to 14 points and a backdoor entry into the playoffs. But it certainly was a wonderful effort from Mumbai's batsmen. Some insane hitting from Tim David after a good start from Rohit Sharma and Ishan Kishan. But at the end, key wickets at key times and an over to remember from Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. Not often you talk about an over that didn't produce too much, but just consistent Yorkers. We'll talk about that and so much more on Cricbuzz Live here in the company of Pommie Mbangwa and Lisa Sthalekar. So many little nuggets to remember from that match for me, but I can't get over that Bhuvaneshwar over, even if it was to just beat Bumrah.
Yeah, you'd expect there'd be something in that. Like who bowls a wicket maiden? Like, I mean, geez, never mind as the 19th over, but just as an over in 2020 cricket, nobody does, So absolutely fabulous. I think a game that when we spoke, certainly at 10 overs, I didn't expect it would get as close as it did in the end. I expected that there might well be a slide one way and they're far away, or they kind of bat well, whoever comes in, and they get there at a canter. But instead, again, another one that sort of goes quite close. And in the end, there'll be a few who are kicking themselves in that order who'll think, yeah, they could have done that bit more. I think the reaction of Tim David and the way that he went out, I mean, 46 from 18, and then he runs himself out trying to keep strike when it's 19 from, 19 from 12, I think, required. It's not that bad an equation. So he could still afford to sort of stay off strike and he'd have been okay. But hurry, carry. Yeah, that's what it is. It's that moment. It's that moment that allows
Lisa, you'd have to say, I mean, we saw it happening. There was almost a case there of Ramandeep maybe staying in his crease. Both get to this end, and then Ramandeep leaves the crease. I mean, that's in hindsight, but Tim David really, as Pommie said, he didn't really need to be that desperate because it was not that it was 30 of 12, it was 19 of 12.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a rugby union player that played for the Wallabies, David Campese, and he brought in the goose step. And Tim David did a couple of goose steps down there. Are we going? Are we not? Are we going? Oh dear, I've run myself out. You feel for him because he was the one that got Mumbai back into the picture. I mean, he was given absolute gifts by Natarajan. Wasn't able to execute his Yorker, kept going, kept trying, and Tim David kept hitting the ball further and further and further. So you feel for Mumbai, but it does show you that Tim David has basically taken Kieron Pollard's position, hasn't he, as that finisher, as the one that they can go to and trust and can find those sixes when required.
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard a line in commentary, I'm not sure it was for me, and when the 114-meter six went out, I think the first reaction was, has the baton passed? And I think that they were probably referring to exactly what Lisa said. Yeah,
so, I mean, I was one who was saying if they wanted to, early in the tournament, they could have played both of them. And I still think that. I still think that they can play both of them should they choose to do that. And it's a luxury, but in a game where power hitting is a thing, then that's why they pick both of them in the auction. They retain one, and then they go and find this other guy who is able, maybe in their thoughts, and perhaps that's why the selection has gone this way through the season. Maybe in their thoughts, they have one and not the other, and they don't have both playing at the same time. And the reason I say both can play is because whilst his offies are not necessarily that good, he can bowl you offies. And Kieron Pollard bowls you those mediums where he takes all the pace off. They don't have pace on them anyway. should you get to a situation where that doesn't do enough for you, for perhaps the combination of the two giving you a bowler as well as being so much power in the middle, then you make the choice of one of them. But you just imagine a situation where you can have both of them in your side, then which bowling attack is sort of hanging about saying, we want to bowl at you guys, you know? And up at the front, it gives you that license as well. You can play, and you know that down the bottom, you've got these two guys who, should the thing get a little bit or hairy and it looks a bit like it might be impossible, these guys do crazy things because they can whack the ball, as Tim David showed us today.
The other reason they could probably continue to do that, because they're one of the unique teams in the tournament whose top four doesn't necessarily involve a key overseas player. Rohit Sharma, Ishan Kishan, Tilak Verma, and Surya Kumar Yadav when he was fit. So you have the chance to use both these guys, one Daniel Sams, one Tymal Mills, one Riley Meredith, whoever you want to use down there. But that's only a thing of the past. The other familiar story, Lisa, was Rohit Sharma, Ishan Kishan, good start, survived the power play, and then the middle overs has been a problem even when they've survived the power play.
Yeah, it's almost like the probably the scoreboard kind of pressure just built up on them a little bit more. They set the perfect platform, and that's where you need, and where we've seen throughout this IPL, someone who's gotten themselves in, like Rohit and Ishan, go on to score big. So that's where a team can chase down a big total. They'll be kicking themselves. I mean, Rohit Sharma, I think the stat was kind of said, Washington Sundar has now got him like 3 times. And this just shows you where the middle overs, they really do struggle, and they've lost wickets and they just haven't been able to get the scoreboard going. And that's been their issue, because when you lose wickets, we know it takes a while just to consolidate. Plus, at the start and against a lot of those teams, they were chopping and changing their middle order a fair bit.
Today you saw Pommie, even with 76, which is a good total. You would always take those number of runs in that period, but losing 4 wickets and the wicket of Tim David, not helping.
No, look, anytime you're chasing a score where you need to go at 10s, essentially you can't put a foot wrong. And what is to put a foot wrong? It's to fall perhaps too far behind the rate and therefore need to do a whole lot in a particular period. You don't want a scenario where you're needing an over of 25 just to get you to par so that you can then chase the rest of the way. And that's one way of kind of, putting a foot wrong. But the other way is that you lose wickets. And if you have a scenario where you lose many wickets, 4 wickets in a period of 5 overs, it's just too many. And it essentially, in that time, you won't be going at a good strike rate because you're losing wickets so regularly that everybody's coming in and trying to start. And also your opposition see it as an opportunity. They're bowling tighter and tighter and tighter. So you end up so far behind the rate that it goes a long way up. And because of trying to redress the situation, it's like in quicksand, really. You get further and further behind unless somebody comes and plays some knock that's kind of out of this world. But it didn't happen for them, despite the knock of Tim David. He was in that period, and then thanks for coming in the end.
Well, he certainly made an impression. I'm sure Mumbai fans would have been entertained, but yeah, where you could see some of the reactions in the stands there when Tim David was playing so well, but when he got out, there were almost fingers being pointed, asking why. But you also have to look at the opposition and say that despite Natarajan, everything that happened at the other end had to be efficient and more than efficient. 4 overs for 60 runs, including a few gifts, ribbon and all, to Tim David, Lisa. Yeah. But which is why some of the other bowlers had to compensate. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, the figures don't suggest it. 4 overs, 1 for 26 are excellent figures, but it doesn't tell you about that 1 over.
Yeah, well, you kind of need to look at the dots, don't you? And Faruqi as well, 11 dots, Bhuvaneshwar 12, and then also Umran Malik. We weren't sure what type of day he would have. He decided to go short, quick, and he scared them and he hurried the guys up. And he has these hot, cold days. Today was a hot day, and to be able to, at that pace, create 12 dots is an exceptional effort.
But yeah, just sticking to the opening combination, we had a few raised eyebrows. Marco Jansen left out. Faruqi comes in, didn't have a great outing before this, but they obviously knew what they were doing, and they got him in there. And between him and Bhuvaneshwar, they were really able to establish themselves early on.
Yeah, it was a bit of a peculiar one. The fact that they decided to go back to Faruqi. I wonder if the issue was bounce, because I thought about it looking at the scorecard and thinking, well, what is it? Why would they not want Jansen? He's been pretty good, but what tends to happen in the way that he bowls is that he gets this bounce, and when he doesn't get it right, and particularly when you're playing in Mumbai, it's going to bounce quite nicely, and guys can use the pace and that bounce to get it over the boundary. And he's not really been able to pull back Marco Jansen. He's actually had either really hot days where he's going to just nick people off and get through guys, or he's fetching a whole lot. And they've gone what I think was the kind of conservative option, which was Faruqi, and it's ended up working. It's helped a great deal that Umran Malik has a magnificent day. He still went for boundaries, and yet he's still in the end only gone for 23. So it's an incredible effort. Like 3 overs that were unbelievably full of action, and 12 dots, right? So you have 12 dots, which is 2 overs, essentially means 1 over's gone for 23. Right? And he's got 3 wickets in that. So every time, and I love him. I mean, I absolutely love watching him because something's going to happen. It doesn't matter whether it's runs or it's lots of wickets, something's going to happen every single time he bowls. And as we've gone along in the tournament, I think a couple of things have happened. The first is they've worked out that they need to place certain fields for him. They also have worked out that he shouldn't really bowl up at the front without the protection. And then the other thing is with regard to his own skills and bowling, he has sort of worked out that in particular situations, and sometimes he'll choose wrongly, but this is what he'll employ in terms of length. He'll go short, and full, or he'll just stay back and stay short and keep attacking from there. And today was one of those days where he was sort of back over length, and he's going to use his pace, and it worked. So it's great to watch the development. It's great to watch the adjustments as he goes along. It's certainly exciting.
Well, hold that thought, because while we've obviously been excited by him, his performance has also singled him out as our Omnigel relief and recovery performer of the match. Omnigel, India's #1 pain recovery gel brand, not only gives quick relief but also recovery from pain. No dud for fans. And I can promise you one thing, until Umran Malik came and did what he did, the Sunrisers fans were feeling a lot of dud, as in they were looking at the big E against their name. The exit door was there. It was wide open. And Lisa, Umran Malik firmly pushed it shut at 150 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, which isn't an easy skill to do, to be able to control your line and your length. And we just put up a graphic as well about the impact that he's had in the middle phase. And if you look at all of the other names that are on it, it's spinners. Now, spinners tend to really kind of squeeze, and the pitches help them. They've got the 5 fielders out. But Umran Malik is there, and he's there going, you know what, I'm going to go about it a little bit differently. I'm going to go with extra pace up. So, you can change of pace can be change of pace down, and we normally assume that. But change of pace for him is almost cranking it up a little bit more. And then when you throw in the length and the line that he wants to execute, whether it be Yorker or the shorter delivery, and now he's kind of got a few cutters, he's starting to become the full package. Now, a lot of us were talking about at the start, maybe he's on the plane to Australia for the T20 World Cup. I still think that he should be on that plane, whether he should be in the squad or part of the biggest squad, the training squad. He certainly should have a ticket.
I think we've already contacted the travel agents and given him that ticket. After that, it's up to the selectors to get him into the 11, or, as we said, let him be part of the setup. But Pommie, because we saw that middle overs graphic, all the other names predictably are those of spinners. Would he, in this entire tournament, be the only fast bowler whose exclusive role is the middle overs?
No, but, well,
Not the only one, but
perhaps-
the standout.
Perhaps would he be the only guy who would kind of work just about in that period? Probably yes. And why is the question? Number one, because that's the best place to use him. And why it's the best place to use him is because it affords him the best protection. Now, you might think protection is a defensive way to go, but essentially it isn't. It's an attacking way to go, because if you, let's work with pace, and what he uses is bounce, and he uses a short ball, and on fields where there's kind of, they're not particularly small, there's enough surface area, and you've got to hit it well to get it out the ground, then the fact that he's got fielders in the deep, almost a bit like a spinner. And a spinner, and Lisa, I'll tell you, if a spinner plays in Australia, absolutely love it. Why? Because they can toss some up, and they can try and beat players in the flight. Because if you don't quite get it, the surface area is big, and so you're going to get caught in the deep, and you're not going to have any respite from like, oh, I hit it off the middle bottom of the bat and goes out the ground for 6. That's not going to happen, because so for Umran Malik, there is the protection, and he can bowl what he bowls, which allows him to be successful, and he can use his pace. The batters that are smarter and don't play necessarily only on instinct and try and take it on to pull it can use the pace of it, and they'll get runs from it and get it away for 6 because it's quick. But those who are kind of facing up to the pace for the first time, they kind of, oh, it's short, I'm going for it, goes up in the air, and they get caught. That's why he's been effective. And I think they've used him brilliantly. If you remember, at the start of the tournament, they wanted to use him up at the front. And they tried, because they thought, oh, really quick, let's use him at the front. And he just gets smashed everywhere because he didn't have the protection. So I think it's good that, you provide a guy with where he'll succeed or where he'll perform optimally, and it then kind of rolls off to the team as well. They get the success of that too.
Yeah, he's now 4th on the list for the race to the purple cap, and perhaps the only other bowler I could think of, as Pommie was talking, who might bowl at that time would be a Lockie Ferguson. Not a coincidence. Also drives at about 150 k's an hour. So I guess that's the way you get these speedsters, in somewhere in the middle. But overall, that performance unanimously gives him the title of our Omnigel Relief and Recovery Performer of the Match. He ensured unequivocally that there were no dud for Hyderabadi fans. Yes, we can confirm that. Even a slender margin of victory. Of course, they would have liked a bigger victory, kept that net run rate big. But the most essential was the 2 points. They couldn't afford to not have that, because then it was bye-bye. And here we have it. 12 points, 13 matches. Yes, it's a negative net run rate. But if they can get to 14 points, which means if Bangalore lose, obviously their net run rate is going to go even lower. That's for sure. If Delhi were to lose, that's going to be a big one. They need to lose by a big margin. And if Kolkata were to win, they need to maybe, this is where it becomes a little tough, Lisa. Because if Kolkata get to 14 points, it means whatever, even if they win by a single run, their net run rate is likely possibly to be higher than Hyderabad's.
Yeah, and Kolkata fans and those in Cricbuzz offices will be cheering that there's a slight chance that they can still make it. So relax, guys. It's all right. I mean, it's great that we're still coming, to the last games, and you have an outcome like this, and you're still going. So if they get here, scenarios.com, Polly is having a lot of fun back home trying to figure all of that one out.
He sent me a text. Because at the start of the tournament, I said, look, there are 10 teams. You're not going to get through with 14. Right. And then he sent a text, I think it was yesterday, sent a text that said, never doubt me, scenarios.com.
I can tell you something, Pommie. We were on the show the other day, and between shows, we were having a chat, and he looked at me and goes, wasn't it you and Pommie who ganged up against me? And I said, no, you better send Pommie a text, because all I said was, Pommie talked about the 14, but Sean Pollock talked about the 16 for Gujarat. And my suggestion was 16 isn't a guaranteed queue, and he said, I'm giving them an honorary queue. And as it happened, once they got to 18, they got the queue.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. I remember saying that 14 shouldn't get you through. And because of the 10 teams, it probably won't. And he just kind of shook his head saying, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And now his story will have changed now. He'll say, I said you would get through, whatever.
The only advantage for Hyderabad, if we keep that points table up, is that they happen to be playing the last match of the league phase against Punjab. So everyone else will have finished by then. They will obviously have to hope that Delhi and Bangalore will both have lost their respective games. And if that happens, they sit on 14 waiting. Kolkata can win if they want to. They get up to 14. But the last match, they'll know by how much they need to win, even if it's a huge margin, Lisa.
Yeah, and we, even before the outcome of this game, we were thinking anyway for Punjab, it would be a game that they need to win to potentially qualify. So, it's going to go right down to the wire, just the way we love it.
It certainly is going to go down to the wire. But
every season. I think I've said this before. I've said it to you, Gautam. I've said it to Gaurav as well, that we sit here and if we go back to, what are we, sort of perhaps a third into the way, maybe a quarter of the way in, everyone's going, oh no, it looks like these lots are going to run away with it. They're going to be two teams up at the top, and then the other ones are going to be, and then it's going to be like playing for two. And I said, oh, whoa, excuse me, hold on. When has it ever been like that? It's never been like that. Perhaps, as I think about it, the only time I can think of where we had a scenario where one team just ran away with the whole thing and didn't win, by the way, was Delhi. I think it was Delhi beat everyone. Virendra Sehwag just smashed everybody. And it was in South Africa, actually. And they finished first.
And then lost in the semis.
And they lost to Adam Gilchrist, smashed them at
Deccan Chargers,
and Deccan Chargers won the whole thing. They'd finished fourth, and then from that, what happened was, hold on, can't have that. Can't have like the first team.
2 chances for the top team.
Yeah.
Let's alter this. So they altered it, and that's why we have this playoff tree where there's 1 versus 2, and you go into the top, and then 2 gets another go, or a loser of that 1 and 2 gets another go, because that's the only time I can remember where the team at the top kind of just went away with it, and then the rest was sort of playing for the rest of the places. But every season we're here going, 1, scenarios.com, 2, it's going to be net run rate. There'll be 4 or 5 teams in it. Yeah, brilliant. Again.
Well, Sean Pollock's got a company to run, folks. Let him have it. Let him have it. Chairman, managing director, you don't just obliterate his company. So he's got to have something to do. But we've got more matches coming up, and let's see what we have to look forward to. And this is what's coming up. These are all going to be critical games. This one's going to be huge. We just saw it on the points table. Kolkata versus Lucknow. And match number 66. Quick look at the points table before we discuss the 2 teams. This is where it stands before these 2 teams walk out to the park. Kolkata, Lucknow obviously are much higher than them on the points table. And as far as they're concerned,
they need the 2 points because they want to try and get first and second. So it's particularly important. For Kolkata, it's do or die. They want to make sure that they just get to 14 and are in with a chance of getting in the playoffs. So effectively, Kolkata need to win by a long way and hope that everything else goes for them. Whereas Lucknow, they want to win decently so that their net run rate is going to be ahead of Rajasthan, who also have a game to go, so that they can end up as second and can get a couple of bites at the cherry as well. So I think every single game for either side still has a lot riding on it, whether it's a net run rate issue or it's a 2 points issue. So it's set up beautifully, I tell you.
Yeah, there'll be a few games involving Chennai and Mumbai, which will be more for them to be either party spoilers or trying to get ahead of each other at the bottom. But for the rest of the teams, everyone is crucial for net run rate and the 2 points. Let's talk about the teams first. Let's start with Kolkata, Lisa, shall we? If we just have a look at them coming together at the right time in terms of the 11. I think they seem to have kind of found the right personnel. Unfortunately, lost Pat Cummins. They've lost Ajinkya Rahane at the moment. But still, with everything else that they have, they at least have the personnel on the park now they have to execute.
Yeah, they do. And, they're going to turn to their skipper, Shreyas Iyer, Andre Russell, Sunil Narayan. Sam Billings had a good outing the other day, so they'll hope that he'll continue. So those guys just need to keep going. Kolkata is coming off a win, whereas actually Lucknow is coming off a loss. So you want to make sure that Kolkata just focus on what they can control, which is their own performances. And they'll need to be able to score runs at the top because that has been an issue for them.
Quick question for you, Pommie. In terms of now with Rahane not there, what is your ideal opening combination here? Are you trying to get Aaron Finch back and therefore Sheldon Jackson in for Billings?
Oh, it's a tough one, because I don't know that you want to shift too much else. Because the top have been working and the middle you're kind of quite happy with. I wonder if the thought process would be that because at DY Patil, the spin's going quite nicely and the ball's been turning, provide yourself with another option, a guy who does really well for Afghanistan all the time and has never let anybody down with regard to sort of playing, whether it's IPL or whatever he plays, is Mohammad Nabi. And he's a good player. So Billings to the top, perhaps, because you have to shift him. You have to shift someone somewhere. And with Billings having gone to the top, then Nabi can come in. I hope I don't have to.
But you can't get Nabi in. You can't get Nabi in unless you get Billings out.
Perhaps
you've already got Russell, Narayan, and Saudi.
But yeah, perhaps I take him out then. And maybe they'll go Saudi out, but Saudi's in good touch. And it might well be Billings who sort of goes out the side and in comes Nabi to then shift things around. And I'm only going by what's happened at DY Patil. And at DY Patil, the ball has spun a bit more. It just has. And I suppose we expect that's what will happen at this time in the tournament. It may seem harsh because Billings has done decently, but I think horses for courses and make sure you cover your bases. And that's kind of just what you're going to do.
The only concern there is your keeper. So, if Billings goes out, you've got to get Sheldon Jackson in, I assume, to keep.
Unless Lisa, they go back to what they tried a few matches ago. Baba Indrajit becomes your keeper opener.
Yeah, you could do that. I don't mind the fact that you potentially put Billings up the order, and I don't mind if you think it's spinning a lot, you bring in Nabi and you take Southey out. Because Russell bowled what? He bowled 4 overs last game, didn't he? And that was the first time he did. So you're kind of banking on him to give you all 4. So I mean,
it would be harsh on Saudi, but horses for courses. So I'm saying effectively, without knowing what my answer is to anything, and I'm here on the panel with you, Gautam, and with you, Lisa, and saying, guys, in our selection panel, let's think about what the conditions are like. And Nabi gives us a lot because, one, if we remove a bowler, essentially we get bowling and batting, right? In a crunch game where the surface says it's going to turn. So we need that. So how do we fix everything else? You tell me. Perhaps you say, no, you're talking nonsense. So we leave him out. We carry on with how we're going, or whatever it is. But I think having seen these games here at DY Patil, and by the way, I'm in Navi Mumbai, right? This is my ground now. I've seen it a few times. And
Did you just say Nabi Mumbai or Navi Mumbai?
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Well,
it's written.
Funnily enough, the franchise have been putting out a few clips of Nabi in the nets batting. Funnily enough, in the past, they've had Shakib Al Hasan come in as a late season replacement when the wickets have got slower. So, yeah, don't rule it out. Foreign, overseas, spinner, all-rounder can happen. But all we know is it's going to be a very busy dressing room, a very busy meeting room overnight before we head to Nabi Mumbai for the game tomorrow. What about the opposition? Lucknow, what are they going to do? Lots at stake for them. They want the 2 points. They want to try and get the match against Gujarat in Kolkata on day one. Don't appear to have too many discussions, Pommie, in terms of the 11. Ayush Badoni at number 3 didn't seem to work. Does he still stay in the 11 for you?
Yeah, look, I think they're okay. They got a free hit here. I think they've got a free hit. And they're not going to drop out of the top 4. I think they've entrusted the guy with the job to this point. They've also kind of yo-yoed him a little bit. Sometimes you're going at 5, sometimes you're going at 3. So if you're going to do that to a youngster, it says that number one, you trust him. So if you do and you're kind of going okay, I think trust him enough. Give him another go. There's absolutely no problem with that. I don't think there's a problem with that. Hopefully they can get over the line. Hopefully he can kind of run into some form and get them over the line. If he does, then it's great because not only for now, not only for this season, as in running at the title now, but also for next season and seasons to come, then it kind of benefits a great deal. As a side, I think they're pretty good. Most impressive for me is Mohsin Khan. I absolutely love how he's come into the side, not right from the beginning, but somewhere, halfway in, and he's been absolutely brilliant. They complement each other well. I remember sitting and saying that when you looked at them at the start of the season, you'd have looked at them and you'd have said they're all sort of second string bowlers in the bowling attack. And by that, I don't mean they're lesser skilled. I just mean they're the guys who are less fast, no mess, just kind of do the job. So Avesh Khan last season at Delhi Capitals doing the job, getting lots of wickets, power play and at the back. But it would be Rabada would get all the accolades and Nokia would get all the accolades because they're internationals and they're fast. Chamira, because he's from, perhaps because he's from Sri Lanka and quietly does his work. Is not, if anyone speaks Sri Lanka, they say Malinga, even though Malinga has gone a long time. So Chamira just carries on doing his work, no trouble. That sort of thing meant that these guys, Krunal as well at Mumbai, you wouldn't look at him particularly. He'd do a great job, but you wouldn't necessarily look at him. And that's just the bowling attack they've assembled, where they're battle hardened, they've got decent skills, they're good at what they do, but nobody would rave about them. And this season, they've done a great job. And then you have a find like Mohsin Khan, who's fantastic. Love his action, love how he works, love his economy. He's just, so yeah, they're a decent side, not too many worries.
Final thought, Lisa, from you along the Nabi lines from Kolkata. I know Ayush Badoni bowls a little bit, but if you were to think of sacrificing him, possibly a Krishnappa Gautam coming in there to give you an extra spin option.
Yeah, and when he has come in, he's had an impact, not with the bat, more with the ball. But there's something about keeping an 11 out on the park. And sometimes if you're winning and you're successful, you can carry a guy. And I feel like Badoni is one of them. The main thing I want to just talk about is their batting order. Okay, so I know
I didn't say it.
I would not do it. So Deepak Hood at 3, Stoinis at 4. Stoinis at 4, please. Then we're going. Who was 5?
Well, we wanted Jason Holder at 5, but they won't do it.
We can go Badoni at 5,
right.
Holder at 6, Krunal Pandya at 7. Done. Don't mess with
Fair
that.
enough. All right. Yeah, let's get to Gigi. Yeah, all right. Lisa said it.
Yeah.
Come on, get the job done, boys.
Yeah.
If you're a Lucknow fan, you want them to sort that out. 11's fine. It's just like a chessboard when you've put all the pieces in the wrong place. They're all there. You haven't lost any pieces. They've not fallen under the table, but they're just in the wrong place.
I'll text Andrew, okay?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say
All right,
Lisa
done.
said. Lisa
Done.
said.
We'll all get to somebody.
Yeah,
Just
Lisa
get to
said.
somebody.
Don't worry,
All
I'm
right.
not the only one out there.
Yeah. At one point, it used to be Simon says. Now it's Lisa says.
Yeah,
All
Lisa
from Cricbuzz Live. All the recommendations going out there. Let's see what happens on the day. That's Kolkata against Lucknow. Lots at stake there. Also, quite a lot at stake every time you answer a quiz question, isn't there? Joy puts the question out. Everyone pounces on it, tries to answer it in a millisecond, and only a few succeed. Only one succeeds to the extent of being named the sole winner. Here we go. Which T20 World Cup winning coach's son is currently employed by a franchise in this tournament? I scratched my head and I scratched my head, couldn't come up with it. So let's go for the answer, which is, Vazzy. Dominic Drake's, I'd forgotten about Vasper Drake's connection, coach of the victorious West Indies women's team in 2015.
Actually, it's 16. Joy? Ooh.
Oh, there you go. But
And
yeah, of course.
I'll tell you why she knows it's 15. I mean 16.
Because they beat the Australian side.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah, that was a big one. That was a big one.
It was a big
That's
one,
a-
actually.
That's the time they won 3 different titles at the same time. The
19.
under 19,
Women.
the Carlos Brathwaite 4-6s, and the
Remember the
women. Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Remember the name. Oh boy, that time was remember the West Indies all throughout that period. Yes, it
Yeah.
was. So Dominic
And
Drake.
Shimron Hetmeyer was the captain of the under 19s, by the way.
Yes.
It was.
Yep.
So there you go. Just a little typo in there. We'll fix that. Not a problem. Who is our winner for this particular question? And our winner is Rishi Rukhiana. Well done, Rishi.
A newbie?
Probably another new name. Is another new name. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
well done, Rishi. Likes to spell his name lowercase for some reason. Or maybe we just did that.
Understated, man. Like, you know,
Yeah,
humble. Yeah.
Rishi Rukhiana. That's how you say it. When you write it like that, that's how it's said. But well done. First person to get it right. And they're a great combo. Vasbert Drakes and Dominic Drakes. When I first saw Vasbert play or Dominic play in the CPL, Vasbert was around and Dominic said every single match, at every single day, he would call up Dad to get a little review about his bowling if he was not present at the ground. So great father-son duo they are. That's all we have as far as that is concerned. Quick reminder before we go. Cricbuzz Plus is the place to go to for all your cricketing needs when you want a bit extra out of the game. We, of course, have talked about Match Party that comes on Sundays for both games. Now we are not going to have double headers anymore. So it's for the big game on the Sunday. And then, of course, there is retro reels from Joy Bhattacharya. So lots to look forward to, lots to look back on and relive in cricket. It's all the time we have on Cricbuzz Live. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Pommie. Thank you, Lisa. Well done on your predictions for the 200. Who got the 47, by the way? Was it?
No one.
Oh,
No,
Pommie.
no. Hold on, everybody, before we go. Hold on. What was the score at the power play?
I thought it was 51.
Was it 50?
Yeah.
Oh, I somehow thought it was 51.
Come on.
Oh, it was 57. No.
Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't think he got it. I was like,
Ooh. Let's go with it. Let's find out the truth. Please, let's find out the truth before we go.
51. 51.
Huh. I guess that's me again.
No. 51 for no loss. 51 for no loss.
So now he's going, are we doing the 5?
So
Are we
it's like
power play
5
exam?
either side, right?
Yeah, 5 either side.
Correct. So what did I say?
47.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks for
Give it to you.
Thanks.
I'm glad.
Thank you and good night.
Yeah.
All right, Pommie, you close the show.
Yeah, this has been fantastic. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Yeah, Cricbuzz Live. Thank you for joining us. We'll catch you next time. Goodbye.